McKinney, Texas has become a holiday destination for fans of both Ferris State and Harding. The Bulldogs have been as reliable as Santa Claus himself, delivering 3 national titles in the past 4 years to Big Rapids. For Harding, a short trip from Searcy, Arkansas makes this the most wonderful time of the year. The Bisons found rich pastures in McKinney 2 years ago and look to put a bow on another perfect season. Welcome to the NCAA Division II National Championship on ESPN. Everything is bigger in Texas, including the stakes today inside McKinney ISD Stadium. Ferris State and Harding have been the 2 best teams all season. Today, a national championship will be won on a sun-soaked Saturday in the Lone Star State. Super Region 3 and 4 represented. Ferris State had home field advantage all the way throughout. For Harding, they picked up a road win last week in Pennsylvania. And a pleasant good afternoon. Sean Kinney alongside former Rice quarterback Taylor McHargue. We'll check in with Morgan Uber in just a moment. Taylor, since 2021, these 2 teams have flat out dominated Division II football, and this year, no exception. Eye-popping numbers virtually for every statistical category.
The last 4 national champions came from both of these teams. You go back to August, these were the top teams, and all the way through the season, they have been your top teams. For Harding, it's been the flex bone and their rushing attack, almost 7,000 yards and almost 90 touchdowns on the ground. They've got a chance to cap that off with getting to 9,000 yards. If you look at this triple option attack in the flex bone, they do such a good job stressing the defense at 3 different levels. It starts with Andrew Miller up front, running that midline. If you take away the midline, they actually have some passing attack on the outside. Last week, Kutztown trying to bring that corner down to help out in the run fit. You see that fake from Braden Jay. What do you do off of that? Throw it to the outside to Brady Barnett, the only reception last week versus Kutztown. And then, let's say you take away Andrew Miller in the midline. You take away the quarterback in Cole Keelan. The triple option, that third element, getting it to the outside to Braden Jay. He was the Great American Conference Player of the Year for a reason. This kind of speed on the outside shows you there's so many weapons for this attack. 5 different ball carriers for Harding that went over 500 yards on the ground this season.
Well, if there's a team that could stop it, it will be Ferris State. They have become the benchmark of success at the Division II level. 3 national championships in 4 years, and today they bring in a 29-game winning streak.
They've been unbelievable, and it goes back to 2021 when they started this national championship run, a season that Tony Anise said still can't believe that team was able to pull it out, but that started the winning success for Ferris State. They run it back the next season against 2022. In 2023, Harding wins the national championship, and then in 2024, led by Trinidad Chambliss, their 3rd in 4 years. Now a chance at 4 in 5 years for Ferris State.
Ferris State brings in the nation's top-ranked offense, but they've had to be pretty creative this year. For more on that, we swing it down to Morgan.
Well, it's common for head coach Tony Anise to play multiple quarterbacks within his system, but this year it's been out of necessity due to injury. A true game-time decision today at quarterback, with redshirt freshman Wyatt Bauer getting the start. Bauer, Chase Carter, and Carson Golker all have seen significant snaps. Bauer opened the year as a starter before the hamstring sidelined him, and Carter started the first 3 playoff games before a toe injury, both still battling those injuries today. All 3 in warm-ups taking reps with the ones at different points, so don't be surprised if all 3 play a role today, guys.
It is an absolutely gorgeous afternoon here in Texas. Temperatures soaring as high as 80 degrees. And if you're from Big Rapids, what a difference a week makes. They were playing in minus 11 degree weather last Saturday, but gorgeous sunshine, and we are underway. It is the Division II National Championship, and it will be Harding on the return, and Ferris State, the special teams coverage. Hines lost his helmet as the Bulldogs flying to the football. Harding offense led by Cole Keelan, and all this guy does is win football games, making his 56th consecutive start. He is beat up, but this guy just continues to win games. A senior from Harrison High School in Arkansas. 51 victories in his career. That ties Colin Finnerty for the all-time mark. The flex bone to go to work, and like they normally do, they will try to establish the inside game with Andrew Miller.
That trap play, that hit Kutztown a week ago and a couple different times. You're going to see all sorts of variations of this flex bone, this midline veer triple option. It'll start again with Andrew Miller. He's closing in on 2,000 yards for the season. Braden Jay we talked about in the open as well. You also have Christian Franklin on the outside. He's almost at 700 yards on the ground. So a number of weapons, and it all starts with Cole Keelan at quarterback. You mentioned his toughness. The other thing this staff raved about, his decision making. Very rarely does he mess up a read in this flex bone option.
2nd down and 7 on the near side. Back-to-back calls. This time Ferris stayed up to the challenge. Back-to-back tackles for Isaiah Byers, the inside linebacker.
And that is the challenge for Ferris State on the other side. Look at the push up front. All the red helmets getting penetration upfield. It starts with Marquis Jones, Caleb Davis, the guys in the interior defensive line. If they can get consistent push and slow down the midline of Andrew Miller, that's a key to success for Ferris State on defense.
Nobody has been better in the country on 3rd downs than Harding and this flex bone attack. 3rd down and 6. Jay in motion. He will get the quick pitch. Jay with a little bit of a seam, and it doesn't take much for him as he pile drives ahead up to the 30 in a 3rd down conversion.
Nice job on the perimeter as well. Watch the blocking. It'll be on the right side of your screen, led by number 9, Christian Franklin. Getting on the edge, hat on a hat, and then good physicality from Braden Jay, leaning forward. That's what this offense does. Even if you get them to 3rd down, 4th down, they do such a good job staying on the field and chewing up clock.
Both Jay and Miller rushing for over 1,000 yards this season. We talked about it in the open. This is an offense that has eclipsed the 6,000-yard mark on 2 occasions. That has never been done at any level of NCAA competition. Keelan for the first time keeps it as he manages a yard or two. Nolan Ziegler, the former Irish player from Notre Dame, in on the stop.
Sean, you and I were at Kutztown a week ago, and this Harding offensive line, they were blowing back that defensive line for Kutztown all game. I think so far, early in this first drive, seeing much better resilience from this defensive front from Ferris State getting push.
And Keelan has really had it working in the last couple of weeks. Back-to-back 100-yard efforts despite the mounting list of injuries that he has played through. 2nd and 7, they will pitch it. Franklin has some work to do, runs through an arm tackle, able to scoot to the outside. And a good job there by Christian Franklin when it looked like Ferris State had it stretched out pretty well.
Thought this was going to be a tackle for loss in the backfield. Good job running through the arm tackle. That looked like Javon Ruffin on the missed tackle from that inside. And this is exactly what we just talked about, a 3rd and short. If they get this to 4th and 1, really everything is 4-down territory for Harding, the way that they run the football. The way that they'll call this on offense, and for their offensive coordinator, Kenny Wheaton, you've got 2 downs to pick this up if you're Harding.
Play clock winding down to 5. Keelan, one last glance at his wrist. 3rd down and 3. Miller trying to use his speed to the outside. Can't quite get there, and then good pursuit defense following. Eric Jackson was the first one to slow him up.
Eric Jackson and also Alston Ware from the corner spot. Watch number 22 come all the way across. That's what forces the ball carrier Andrew Miller back inside. And credit to Ferris State. We talked about this is a spot Harding goes for it all the time in these situations. Being conservative here, and credit to the Bulldogs getting off the field in this first possession on defense.
You don't normally see a lot of Luke Mamana, the punter, the senior from Culver City. He averages about a punt per game, and here on this first series off the side of his foot. And a good start for Ferris State. They're home away from home. They play pretty well here in McKinney. Scoreless. Beautiful afternoon here in McKinney, one of the more scenic downtowns in all of Texas, and it has been decked out with both Harding and Ferris State fans over the past 48 hours. Opening series and championship debut for the redshirt freshman Wyatt Bauer. Grew up in tiny town Corunna, Michigan. Ironically, the stadium that he played under was named after Tony Annese's father, Nick Annese Stadium. Goes back a long way with the Ferris State coach, and they will get Rose involved. His first touch, and watch out! Brady Rose down the near side, pushed out of bounds. And Ferris State not wasting any time.
Well, option right out of the gate, and this is the element out of a Tony Annese offense. They want to try to get on the edge. Good job by Wyatt Bauer. Defensive end takes the quarterback, pitch it to the outside. It's blocked well, and then this is all speed from Brady Rose. Almost takes it to the end zone. Both of these offenses run similar concepts, trying to stress defenders with the option game. Harding runs it with the flex bone, and then this Ferris State team runs it more out of the shotgun, but it's still the option.
45 yards. They will try the opposite side for Rose, and this time he is met head on. Big time collision. That was Deion Campbell coming in. Loss of a yard.
And the most physical defensive back for Harding, showing you exactly why. Rallies to the football. This guy, number 4, Eon Coleman Jr. from Houston, Texas, has some family here today in attendance. He will come down in run support and hit you.
Yeah, there are a few Texas players sprinkled up and down the Harding roster. Opportunity to play in front of family and friends. Throwing for the first time, far sideline, pass is caught, jumping high up into the air. Catch made by Cam Underwood. Troy Wiseman with the stop.
Like the recognition from Wyatt Bauer. One-on-one to the outside, just raise up, throw the hitch into the boundary. Easy completion, get some momentum going. Good early decision making from the redshirt freshman.
As Morgan talked about, it was a game time decision on who would be under center, and they will rotate quarterbacks. Carson Golker now will check in under center as Bowers exits stage right. First down from the 12-yard line. Golker, 240 pounds, trying to find a little bit of daylight over the left side. Tackle by Brock Napton.
Carson Golker is the Swiss Army knife for this Ferris State offense. You mentioned it, Sean. He does a little bit of everything. They'll have him with his hand in the ground at tight end, at H-back. They'll put him in the backfield like a running back. He had maybe the most impressive throw a week ago in their semifinal win. Seam route right up the middle of the field to Tariq Brett. He'll do everything for this offense, and like you mentioned, you'll see them interchange and mix in at the quarterback spot between Bauer, Carter, and Golker.
It was actually an all-conference H-back this year. Now they have him split as a receiver at the top of the field with Bauer back in. Second down and 8, play clock down to 1. Bauer, did he get it off? I think Ferris State called a timeout before the flag, and they did.
Prior to the play clock expiring, timeout. Ferris State, this is their first charge timeout. This will be a media timeout.
Early timeout in the action. Ferris State has marched it inside the Harding red zone. Bowl season rolls on Monday afternoon with the famous Idaho Potato Bowl from Albertson Stadium in beautiful Boise, Idaho. Washington State squares off against Utah State, 2 Eastern, 11 Pacific on ESPN and the ESPN app. I'm doubting they're going to enjoy 80-degree sunshine like we are today here in McKinney, Texas, out in Boise.
Beautiful day here in McKinney. A lot different than the semifinal weather that Ferris had last week.
These two teams have been atop the Division II ranks the last few years. Harding, just the 2 blemishes over 3 years. They won it all a couple of years ago, and then the run by Ferris State, including 29 straight victories coming into this one. For the first time, taking off and running with the football. Chase Carter as he is tracked down inside the 5. So not wasting any time, just like Morgan talked about on this opening drive. We have seen 3 different players under center.
And the tackle there from Clark Griffin, 5th-year senior. That is his 157th tackle of the season. That is an unbelievable total. Leads Harding all time in tackles and tackles for loss. I promise you, you will hear Clark Griffin's name throughout this game.
Carter's numbers this year, he is dealing with a bad toe that he injured last week in the semifinals. Running to the boundary side, and he is driven back. And an early decision for Tony Annese, looking at 4th and short.
Tony Annese told us yesterday this is not a team that you want to trade field goals with in Harding. Harding does, very rarely do they kick field goals. This will be an interesting decision here. It looks like Ferris State's going to keep the offense on the field, try to pick this up. You see that visiting side for Harding's completely sold out. Expect on this 4th and short some crowd noise. We'll see if that impacts Wyatt Bauer at quarterback.
Yeah, this was a hot ticket all week long. Not an empty seat inside the stadium. 4th down and 2. Brett, Rose, and Underwood, the trio of receivers, and some confusion. And for the second time, Ferris State forced to burn another timeout.
Timeout. Ferris State. This is their second charge timeout.
It took a long time.
Timeout.
It took a long time for Wyatt Bauer and that offense to get the play in from the sideline. Looked like Tony Annese and his staff kind of questioning whether or not they were going to run the field goal unit out to kick there. By the time they did, it looked like not enough time to work through their procedure. But imagine now, obviously offense comes back out. They could still, with how close they are inside the tight red zone, they could still run the offense out and try to draw Harding off sides. Go with a hard count, and then if they don't get it, just take the 5 yards on the penalty.
Tony Annese took over this program 13 years ago, and the 64-year-old has elevated it to new heights. Prior to his arrival, Ferris State had not reached the D2 playoffs since '96, and now they're on the cusp of winning their 4th title. Time to think about it. Quarterback power right up the middle, driving hard near the goal line, and Ferris State says they're in, and they are. Touchdown for the freshman Wyatt Bauer.
Gutsy call by this staff. Tony Annese deciding to roll the dice. 4th and 2. Keep it in Wyatt Bauer's hands. Leans forward. It looks like he does get the nose of that football right over the goal line. What a statement opening possession from Ferris State on offense.
7 plays, 70 yards, a little more than 4 minutes off the game clock. And a 4th and 2. Annese rolling the die. And he turns it to the redshirt freshman Bauer, who finishes it off. The 2-yard touchdown plunge. Eddie Jewett on for the point after. Low wobbler, but it finds the mark, and Ferris State strikes first.
Love that decision and the confidence from Tony Annese to keep his offense on the field. This was a point of emphasis from his staff in our meetings yesterday. See the drive, get the push from Carson Golker in there as well, number 12, helping his quarterback get into the end zone. But again, Tony Annese told us yesterday, this is not a team in Harding that you want to trade field goals for touchdowns. If we get opportunities to go forward on 4th down and capitalize in the red zone, we have to do that. He held true to his word, and his offense rallied and responded for the first touchdown of the day.
You look at this quarterback position and you go back to last spring, even before Trinidad Chambliss had made the decision to hit the portal and head to Ole Miss. Chambliss was nursing an injury. Chase Carter was recovering from off-season labrum surgery. Carson Golker had broken his leg, really a horrific injury early in the season last year. So the only one taking snaps in the spring was the redshirt freshman Wyatt Bauer, and that's when he made his move, and that's when his teammates and the coaches realized this young man has the poise to lead this offense.
And part of what is so impressive about this run again for Ferris State is they've had the changes at quarterback like you mentioned, but there's been a number of other positions that had changed, specifically that left side of the offensive line. And you lose a guy in the transfer portal to Michigan, one to Iowa, they replace that entire left side, and they haven't missed a beat up front.
Not to mention they lose their top 3 running backs in the opening 3 weeks of the regular season. So Ferris State with the early lead, offensive possession number 2 for the Bisons. Not much on the return for Jikaisen Wright, and now some late flags come flying in. Boy, a little bit too much emotion. Edward Kofuma Henry was one of the first players in there to hit. Let's see what this penalty is all about.
After the play was over, personal foul, number 25, kicking team, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Call that on Jack Price, the running back, who's also part of the the kickoff team for Ferris State. This is just a spot here. Got him rallied. He's not going anywhere at this spot. Let him go. Picking him up and slamming him to the ground. That's going to get an easy 15 yards for Harding every time. I love the emotion from Ferris State that they're playing right now. You got to eliminate those kind of penalties for a team that wants to play ball control offense. Don't help them with this field position.
Damage done with each team with one possession. Midway through this opening quarter as Keelan gets ready to go to work. He will pitch it, ball loose. It's on the turf, picked up by Ferris State. What a read by Nolan Ziegler. And then Jalen Jones, who has been so opportunistic since his return, Johnny on the spot.
This is tremendous anticipation on the outside. All this is reading and reacting by Jalen Jones. That's what causes. He slips the block, gets a hand, it impacts the pitch relationship between Cole Keelan and the outside and the defensive staff. They love it. Huge play in the first turnover of the day.
Jalen Jones, an impact player. All the coaches yesterday in our meetings talked about he is the biggest film watcher they have on that side of the football. Incredible defensive IQ, and he was a one-man wrecking machine on that last play. With the help of Ziegler as well, and now Ferris State breathing fire early from the Harding 33, and this play gets blown dead.
Prior to the snap, delay a game, offense, number 8, 5-yard penalty, first down.
So Taylor, what's causing this? This is an early issue right now for the Bulldogs.
Ferris State is playing, number one, with some intensity on both sides of the football, but on the defensive side, you're seeing a lot of bodies close to the line of scrimmage. They're getting good push, and that play, the last one there by Jalen Jones, that was just a great individual effort. He understands exactly where he was not the pitch man there. He slips a block to create that play. That was just a great job on the outside by Jones.
After the penalty, they will throw it over the middle, a dart, and the pass is caught, paying the price up to the 30. Second catch of the day for Underwood, hit by Luke Martin.
It's one of the things that I think Wyatt Bauer does better than almost anybody in Division II football, throwing on the move. You see how he's working to his left, spots up, flips his hips around, and throws an accurate ball. There's quarterbacks at every level that struggle with that kind of throw, but showing you his athleticism.
It's amazing when talking to the coaches. Bauer was a player who received some Division I offers, Colorado State, Central Michigan, but the interest at the D1 level was for him to play defense, which he was not interested in. Second down, they fake the screen, keeping it and running with success inside the red zone. Chase Carter all the way down to the 10. It's a pickup of 20.
Mixing in quarterback looks again. This time it's Chase Carter. Quarterback draw, sell it to the outside. Look how well this is blocked up. There is nobody in a white helmet that gets loose on a block in the interior. Good recognition by Chase Carter, working to his left side, and another big play on the ground for the Bulldogs.
Bauer back in. Rose goes in motion. First and goal. Ferris State trying to take advantage of the turnover. Bad throw there. It was behind the intended target. And that's one Harding would love to have back, as Josh Gatlin had his hands on it.
One of the heroes a week ago for Harding on defense had an interception that almost went back the other way for 6. An opportunity here that ends up being missed. The way he's driving on the football, he's staring right back into the sun. Sean, I wonder if that impacted that at all, but would have been an opportunity for an interception.
They will hand the ball off, getting to the outside. Gulker, and then he is taken down. Wiseman in a wise move, going low on the 240-pounder, and it's third down and goal.
This offensive line, it's been the best in Division II football all season, and they're showing you why right now. There is zero penetration up the field by Harding's defensive line. This offensive line for Ferris State getting about whatever they want up front.
It's an offensive line that has a lot of experience on the right side. They will go right up the middle, untouched for the touchdown. Wyatt Bauer has number 2. But there is a flag down at the line of scrimmage.
I think this will go against Harding. It looked like Bob Anderson, the right guard, got his helmet pushed off. We'll get hands to the face on Harding, and this will stand.
Personal foul, illegal hands to the face, number 92, defense. Touchdown as a result of the play. The enforcement of the foul will be on the kickoff.
Ferris State and Wyatt Bauer, his second rushing touchdown in this opening quarter, and they take advantage of the defensive play by Jones. Jewett on for the point after, and how about this start for the defending champs?
Unbelievable start for Ferris State. Both times they've gotten into the red zone, they've capitalized, keeping it on the ground with Wyatt Bauer. Offensive line doing a great job, quarterback capitalizing. All Bulldogs here early in McKinney.
Coming up next, we'll have the second FCS semifinal. 12th-seeded Villanova hosts this year's Cinderella team, Illinois State. They have been the Road Warriors come the playoffs. A trip to the championship game January 5th in Nashville on the line. That's coming up 7:30 Eastern right here on ESPN2. Take a look at what the Missouri Valley Football Conference has done, but both North Dakota State and South Dakota State on the sidelines right now as we head into the semifinal weekend. Montana State happening right now, and as we talked about tonight, under the lights, Villanova and Illinois State. A postseason run for Brock Spack and the Redbirds, knocking off the Bison in Fargo a few weeks ago, and then going to the West Coast last week and taking out UC Davis.
One of the biggest stunners in all of college football, that Illinois State win. 5 takeaways over North Dakota State. See here, does Ferris State try to play field position or just kick this away, taking advantage of that penalty?
They send a high bouncing kick angled toward the far side. Boy, that is textbook right there from Ferris State. They have it all clicking in this first quarter. As we check in with Morgan.
Coach Simmons has praised the warrior spirit, care factor, and toughness of his quarterback, Cole Keelan. And guys, watching him after that first drive, he continued to look down at his right hand on the sideline, testing the pain. Multiple players and coaches coming up to him, checking on him. And this guy is tough as nails, though. His thumb is broken, a dislocated shoulder, quad contusion, a torn MCL. You see that brace on his left knee. It's going to take a lot to keep him out of this game. He has been stone cold and unfazed, though, as I've watched him on the sideline.
He's as tough as they come, making his 56th consecutive start. As they will try to pick up some positive yards over the left side. Keelan's numbers since he arrived on campus, and he has just changed the trajectory of this offense. We talked about the recent success for Harding. He's been the big reason.
And a combination of that toughness that Morgan mentioned, but also the decision making that this staff talked to us about. Running this offense, it requires having a true point guard, a tough point guard at quarterback, and Cole Keelan does such a good job with his decision making on when to hand it off up front to Andrew Miller or turn into the option on the outside.
Second down from the 15. They will pitch it. Room to run. Franklin into the second wave as he rumbles his way all the way to the 34. A gain of 19. Tracked down by Alston Ware.
Good job and recognition on the outside. We just talked about decision making. You have leverage, blocked up well, get the ball to your playmaker's hands. And Christian Franklin, that's a big first down. And for Harding, trying to pick up some momentum here. I think a little shell-shocked. 2 early touchdowns by Ferris State. This is a big drive for Harding to try and stay on the field, chew up some clock, wear down this defense, and then ultimately convert with points.
Just uncharted territory for the Bisons. 2 offensive possessions and nothing to show for it. And now miscommunication as you see Keelan look to hand right, but nobody was there. And again, something you never see with the precision that this offense runs at.
Truly never see. You had it exactly right, Sean. Watch, opens up the opposite direction. That looked to me like a bust from Andrew Miller. I think quarterback Cole Keelan opened the correct way. I think Andrew Miller is the one that had that wrong, but a miscommunication between fullback and quarterback. Unfortunate. They were able to pick up anything there.
Second down and 8. Jay in motion. He's the pitch man, and just as he was getting ready to kick into another gear, Tim Allen stretched his hand out, grabbed a part of the ankle.
Great tackle by Tim Allen. This had the chance to be a home run play by Braden Jay, and you nailed it. Tim Allen, junior from Coopersville, Michigan, able to get Braden Jay to the ground. That was a big-time tackle, setting up a 3rd and medium.
Harding 1 of 2 on third downs. Allen had the big game last year in this championship stage. Had a couple of sacks to lead the Bulldog defense. Third and a long 5. Keelan to throw for the first time, and Ferris State was waiting, but here comes a flag in the secondary and maybe a defensive hold as they tried to slow down Jay.
Like Alston Ware.
Interference. Defense, number 22. The ball will be placed in the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
And it was Alston Ware that gets called for this. Sophomore on the back end, number 22. It's a double move, trying to target Braden Jay right up the middle of the field. Not a lot in that. And frankly, Sean, I mean, the ball was uncatchable either way, but I think that contact came before the ball was out of the hands of Cole Keelan, and another penalty. Really, most of the momentum that Harding's had so far today, a lot of it's come from penalties.
Yeah, that's really been the only kink in the armor so far for Ferris State. Keelan threw the football only once last week. Completed the pass. Here he gets the interference call as they go right back to the A-gap with Andrew Miller. Now you look at Andrew Miller, the junior. He is a homegrown product. Searcy, Arkansas, Harding Academy, and they have had a number of players play for the academy and then stay put right there in Searcy and have really good collegiate careers.
And he was a Harlan Hill finalist, came up second for that award. Almost 2,000 yards. You expect him to get to it today. Came into the game with just under 2,000 yards on the ground. But right now, Ferris State has had an excellent plan for limiting the midline. Holding that to 2 yards is incredibly difficult against Harding.
Second down, Jay to the boundary, and a good job by Ferris State. That was Madison who shouldered him out of bounds, almost shadowing number 7.
And credit on the outside. That time looked like Alston Ware shedding a block. Excuse me, that was Jalen Jones. Second time now. They're having a hard time. Harding is blocking him on the perimeter. This is a wide receiver unit and tight end unit that prides themselves for Harding on blocking on the edge, and they're having a difficult time with Jalen Jones.
Quick moving first quarter, third down and 7. Ferris State throwing the early punch here in McKinney, Texas. Keelan will pitch it. Franklin with a cut, makes one defender miss, stays on his feet. Now he's into the clear, finishes the run as he's pushed out of bounds near the 30. 19 yards for Christian Franklin.
The most productive player so far early for Harding, Christian Franklin. Great job breaking one tackle there. The second one, that's what enabled him to pick up the first down. And some momentum finally on this drive for Harding. Not really much going in the way of that midline like we talked about, but the answer has been on the outside with Christian Franklin.
Little bit of life late in this first quarter for the Bisons from Searcy, but through the first 15 minutes, it's been all Ferris State. The defending champs back in the house. Bauer, a couple of touchdown runs. Ferris State by 14.
Welcome back to McKinney, Texas, here with Ferris State head coach Tony Annese. Coach, what have you seen from your defense so far in being able to somewhat limit this rushing attack for Harding?
Pretty solid on early downs. That's our goal, right, to get them to 3rd and 7. But they made, just on this drive alone, like 3rd and, medium conversions. And last play there, we just got to stay on our feet and tackle them. And then the pass interference call hurt us when we're in really good position and got 4 guys around 1 receiver, and it's pass interference. So that's disappointing. But all in all, it's a good first quarter.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
5th trip into the finals in the last 7 years for Tony Annese and Ferris State, looking for their 4th national title. The only other D2 school to claim 4 in a 5-year span was their GLIAC rival Grand Valley State. First play of the second quarter, and Franklin stays red hot. Christian Franklin carrying the offensive load. 22 more yards, and Harding with 1st and goal.
And back to Franklin on the outside. Love the block on the perimeter. Watch number 7, Braden Jay. Kicks out the defender. Talk about Jalen Jones, number 42. That's been the guy that's limited some of the production on the outside. Good blocking on the edge. Good speed from Christian Franklin. And Harding putting a nice drive together here.
Year 2 for Franklin in Searcy, transferred in from Lewisburg Junior College in North Carolina. and he looks the part. 6 foot, 225-pounder. Some life in this offense, and there goes Miller right up the middle, touchdown. Harding comes right back.
There's the midline from the nation's leading rusher, Andrew Miller. A great job by that offensive line. Ferris had such a good plan for stopping the midline. This is the first time all day that Andrew Miller gets loose in the interior for the first score of the day for Harding.
Miller had 4 touchdowns last week in the semifinal win against Kutztown. His 28th rushing touchdown this year. The junior has been the key, establishing the inside of this offense. The power back scores, Harding on the board. Harding on the board for the first time, an impressive 89-yard drive. A lot of the damage inflicted by Christian Franklin, but it was Andrew Miller, a familiar source, finishing off the drive, and that was desperately needed for the Bisons as they were in need of something positive in what's been a rough start to this football game.
That was a big-time answer from Harding. They got punched in the mouth by Ferris State. Back-to-back drives for the Bulldogs, but Harding, this is an incredibly physical, resilient team, and they showed you a glimpse of that on that drive.
You see the crowd here at McKinney, Texas, and both of these teams are so involved in their respective communities, and they love getting out and engaging. Harding spent a lot of the time earlier in the week visiting some local elementary schools. The young ones in Searcy love it when the football players show up, tell stories, have a chance to go outside during recess and throw the football around, whether it's Harding or Ferris State up in Big Rapids. Two programs who really love their hometown communities and give back so much. Wyatt Bauer and this offense from the 25-yard line. Bauer is going to throw, and this one incomplete at the feet of Underwood.
Right now, for Harding, I think the answer, the question you have to ask yourself is how do we get pressure on the quarterback, whether that's Wyatt Bauer, Chase Carter, or Carson Golker. The first part of this game and that entire first quarter, these quarterbacks for Ferris State looked incredibly comfortable. What can they do to try and dial up pressure up front?
Bauer 2 of 4 throwing the football in this first half for 22 yards. Tariq Brett comes to the backfield to join him. Rose in motion, and it will be Brett the speedster with his first touch, and there is nothing cooking over the center. Kyle Henry greeted him.
Man defense on the back end, and you nailed it. Kyle Henry, he's reading and reacting, triggers to the the running back, and a good tackle. First 3rd and long opportunity that Harding's had all day. We'll see, do they pin their ears back, try to come after the quarterback? This is an area they tend to get good pressure in these 3rd and long situations.
Third down and 8. Bauer looking against a 4-man rush. They run a stunt, drag pattern across the middle, caught. This is Golker, and they all do it back. First team H-back from his position that time with the first down catch.
Starts up front again with this offensive line. Watch the twist on that right side. They're trying to get, looked like 45, Justin Sobsack loose, blocked up well, and then hit that shallow cross for a big 3rd down conversion.
Golker, the team's second leading receiver, now a gaping hole over the middle, and he rumbles his way for double-digit yards. 11 yards over the right guard to the 49.
Showing you more elements of why they try to feature Carson Golker throughout this offense. Shallow cross on 3rd down to pick up a first down, and then right back the next play, line him up at running back, get him running between the tackles. He does so much for this offense.
Started his career as Ferris State's full-time starting quarterback, suffered the leg injury last year, and as we talked about, he plays a lot of different positions. And then you have the speed of Bauer, like a torpedo, just shooting into the secondary, and just like that, here come the Bulldogs right back.
And this is a read on the stretch zone. They bring Brady Rose in motion. He's reading that defensive end. If he gets wide, Wyatt Bauer pulls the football and gets vertical. That happens so fast, it's so difficult to read, but Wyatt Bauer does a great job executing. Good example of it right there to pick up the first down on the ground.
They were worried about Bauer all week. He went through limited practices because of a leg injury that he sustained late in the regular season, re-aggravated it last week in the semifinals. Makes the pitch here, and you talk about speed. Tariq Brett has that, and he finishes with some power as he takes defenders with him all the way to the 20.
That option element, we saw it early in the game. You go right back to it, and I love the recognition from Wyatt Bauer. You don't need to keep the ball in your hands and push it towards the sideline. As soon as you feel like you've got leverage, and Tariq Brett has that outside, get it to him now, let him get vertical.
They stay tempo as they have their foot on the gas, some rhythm offensively on this drive. Bauer on first down, back-to-back carries for Brett, and he is buried at the line of scrimmage. Bryce Rushing, the sophomore, third-year player for Harding, in on the stop.
And this is the area, the first two drives for Ferris State in the red zone. They did a great job of capitalizing. Remember, they went for it on that first touchdown, went for it on a 4th and 2. See if they've got answers here now on their third red zone trip of the game.
And let's not forget, this is the best red zone defense in the country coming in when you look at Harding. 2nd down and 9, and now a flag flies. It's a Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference crew. Our referee, Richard Gray.
Legal snap, number 52, offense, 5-yard penalty. Get down.
One of the only negatives you could point to so far today for Ferris State has been penalties. A couple of them so far been fairly clean in the penalty department for Harding. On the other side, Ferris, 4th penalty of the game already.
Jarvis Wyndham, the first team all-center, the guilty party. So now 1st and 15. It's a sprint option to Rose, and Rose cannot get free. He was hit initially, and then Luke Martin came in almost like a deflection and finished the job.
And Caden Spencer's who slows this down, number 40. He doesn't make the tackle, but stops this play, getting to the outside, and then watch the rest of this defense rally to the football. That's a great job of team defense. Now a big opportunity for Harding. 3rd and long situation. Ferris has had some struggles kicking the football at different points this season. We'll see, this is a big opportunity for Harding if they can get off the field and force a field goal attempt.
They need to get it all the way to the 10, 3rd down and 15. And a timeout by Ferris State.
Timeout. Ferris State.
Tony Anise has used all 3 of his timeouts. Big play call coming up.
2 games and some punting issues.
Ferris State hoping they won't have to kick it. They can keep this drive alive. 3rd down and 15, and the large fan following from Searcy making some noise.
Showing a pressure look from Harding. We'll see if they back out of it or bring 7 at the line.
They go empty. Brett in motion. Pressure off the edge. Bauer with some lift to it, looking for Gulker, and it sails incomplete. Luke Martin, the rover, with the tight coverage.
Good coverage by Luke Martin. Looked like maybe grabbed a little bit. These Ferris State fans wanted a call. This will be a good look at it on the right side of your screen. I think we see anything there, and for as far over the head of his receiver as that ball was thrown, not surprised there was no call there. Interesting right now in 4th and long that the offense stays on the field.
They're going to have to hustle it up by the time they made the decision. Again, they do not have any timeouts. Bauer gets them ready to go. 4th down, 15, taking a shot over the middle, broken up. That was Gatlin who got his hand in there, and the red zone defense for Harding stiffens for the first time today.
It is windy here today in McKinney as well, and that is the end of the field that they would be kicking into the wind. Otherwise in the range of Eddie Jewett, but they decide to go for it on 4th and long. Bauer trying to drive this ball over the middle of the field. Good defense on the back end again by Josh Gatlin, who was huge a week ago. Interesting decision from Tony Anise, and now momentum feels like it's swung the other direction to Harding.
Yeah, you talked about the wind. It is swirling and it's howling on this very warm day in Texas. So Ferris State dominated the first quarter. We saw Harding put together a long drive the last time they had it. Now they'll go back to work with Keelan over the left side.
First time we've seen Keelan keep the ball in his hands. Morgan had reported earlier on how banged up Cole Keelan has been all season. Has 4 different injuries that he's battling through right now, but still, final game of the season. He's going to try to obviously gut it out. We know about his toughness. It's really the first time we've seen him carry the football so far today, though.
Harding was the only place to offer him the opportunity to play quarterback. In fact, during his younger years, he always thought he was going to be a baseball player his entire life. He was one heck of an outfielder, but changed course midway through his high school years, and boy, Harding certainly happy he did. He has been wonderful. Just a tremendous career. 51 wins, tying the all-time record in Division II with the great Grand Valley quarterback Colin Finnerty.
He's been huge for this offense in a number of ways. It's not just his production, but his leadership. Loved how his head coach, Paul Simmons, talking to us about how much it means. His teammates mean to him, and big opportunity here, trying to pick up another 3rd down to keep this offense on the field and retain momentum.
Franklin has been the go-to back when they need a big play, 3rd down. They put him in motion just to take a look at what Ferris State was going to do defensively, and now Keelan wanders over toward the Harding sideline and will use their first timeout. Timeout in the action, 8:19 to go. Division II National Championship from McKinney.
Mickey had so much fun last year, he's asking Santa to bring the NBA back to Walt Disney World.
Ho, ho, ho! It's time to dress up Main Street, USA for a live animated game between the Cavaliers and the Knicks. And along with the halftime parade, I'll be hiding hidden Mickeys.
But looks like someone snuck along for the ride. Let's dunk the halls with Cavaliers, Knicks, Christmas Day at noon.
Welcome back to McKinney. 2 areas that Ferris State had to focus on in this game, linebackers and on the secondary on the outside. This is a great example from Isaiah Byers at the linebacker spot, trying to take away that midline. This was the turnover on the outside. Jalen Jones from the corner position, able to slip a block, create the fumble, come away with the first takeaway of the game. It's been at all 3 levels between the defensive line, linebackers, and secondary that they have had answers in slowing down and limiting Harding on offense.
Byers and Jones both leading the Ferris State defense, each with 4 tackles in this first half. Harding has had time to think about it. 3rd down and 4. Bison's 2 for 3 on 3rd downs today. Keelan will pitch it. Franklin caught in the backfield. That time there was no getting away. Nolan Ziegler able to run him down.
And another great example starts with taking away the midline up front. Force the quarterback, Cole Keelan, to get to the outside. Midline's not there. Look at all the red helmets shedding blocks on the outside, and Nolan Ziegler able to come away with the tackle. That is textbook on defending the flex bone.
What a find Ziegler was in the transfer portal this year. His first season in Big Rapids. Started his career at Notre Dame after a standout high school career at Grand Rapids Catholic Central. Look at this bounce on the punt, still rolling inside the 5 and finally comes to rest at the 4. 67 yards on the punt by Mamana.
That was the direction with the wind at the back of Mamana in this punt unit. And that's one where you're looking at your returner, Brady Rose, saying after that first bounce, we need you to come up and grab that thing. Gave up another 30, 35 yards or so of field position after letting that roll out.
"29 straight wins for Ferris State. Ironically, that also matches their current home winning streak as well, that dates back even a few more years. Last time they lost a game was the season opener last year to Pitt State. From the 5, deep in his own end zone, Bauer takes a shot and a juggling attempt is dropped. Tariq Brett had it in his hands, but could not clinch it in.
Great recognition by Wyatt Bauer. Good protection up front. And you just throw the dig to Tariq Brett over the middle of the field, and this one's got to be caught. It's a void right in the middle of the defense. Great throw from Bauer, and just a drop from Tariq Brett, who's probably still running if he catches that.
Bauer exits, replaced by Chase Carter. Carter, the sophomore that they found in Orlando. They certainly used the Florida pipeline from the Sunshine State all the way to Big Rapids. Faked as if he was going to throw, takes off and run, and this is where he is really dangerous. Up near the 15-yard line goes the sophomore from Edgewater.
Watch the right side of the offensive line, number 74, Bob Anderson. They wash, and Tim Anderson, his twin brother, wash everything down going right to left, make it easy for the quarterback, Chase Carter, to get vertical.
Third down and short, right back to Bauer, and a first down, shredding off defenders. Bauer takes it up to the 20, a gain of 6, and a very important first down. A little bit of breathing room for Ferris State as you keep an eye on the clock. Under 7 minutes to go in this first half.
And a balance between these three signal callers, Chase Carter, Wyatt Bauer, and Carson Golker, all have been effective early.
Speaking of Golker, tries to spin his way up ahead. Deion Campbell got enough of him. Golker picks up 6. You talk about a rehabilitation year for Carson Golker. Sustained really a terrible and scary injury last year early in the season. Broke his fibula and tibia during their September 7th home game against Lake Erie, and it really put him on a painful path to recovery, but here he is. Been a key contributor as the second down throw is knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Sobzak got a piece of it.
Heady play here by Justin Sobzak, number 45, right here at the bottom. Watch, get his hands up, not getting home, able to get just a piece of that. Big play there, and another third down opportunity for Harding. Still have not been able to get consistent pressure on the quarterbacks. We'll see, do they try to bring home Clark Griffin or Jordan Mays from the linebacker spot? Excuse me, Kyle Henry, the other linebacker in the middle.
It's been a fairly quiet first half for Griffin, the team leader at his linebacker position. They keep him in coverage. They rush 4. A little hitch coming back was Underwood, and this will be very close to the first down. Let's see where they mark it. And they're going to say move the chains. Cam Underwood with his 3rd catch today.
And caught right at the 30-yard line, which is what Ferris State needed for the first down. Looks like Harding may have already taken a timeout.
The previous play is under video review. Timeout.
So they're going to take a look at the spotting of the football here on the catch by Underwood as they go upstairs to Rodney Norton. So much talk coming into this championship game. These two teams have really separated themselves from the rest of the pack in Division II. Strong on strong, and how was it going to all settle out? You had 2 of the top offenses in the country, 2 defenses who quite frankly don't get enough praise just because their offenses are so dynamite. How is it all going to sort out? Are you surprised from what you've seen so far in this first half?
A little bit surprised more at the slow start for Harding, because we were there again a week ago at Kutztown when they jumped all over Kutztown, and for all season really it feels like Harding has been the team that sort of sets the pace on offense. But they're also playing the #1 team in the country, and a team that's won 3 out of the last 4 national championships, trying to make it 4 out of 5. So I think it was interesting to see Ferris State jump all over again Harding. But credit to Harding, kind of weather the storm. You've survived that turnover. You're down 14 points, creating a touchdown. This is a big possession here, though. If Harding can figure out a way to get the ball back and get a score before half, feel a lot better about their situation going into half, obviously. This will be a great look right at the 30-yard line. He's short there. Where is the ball in relation? It looks to me like he captures that 30-yard line. See if this stands, but from that angle again, called a first down on the field. Is there enough there to overturn this?
Was made, has been upheld. First down, Ferris State.
So the offense stays out there for the Bulldogs. The drive continues for Tony Anise and crew.
It's also been interesting Sean, to see the blend of all three quarterbacks and how well it's worked again for them. We see offenses throughout the season that'll have some sort of rotation at quarterback. It's usually 2. Maybe it's a wildcat that's implemented. Very rarely do you see 3. And you've got an example really every other play, it feels like, where one of these 3 players between Bauer, Carter, and Golker are mixing in snaps at quarterback.
Bauer, the guy in there now on first down from the 30. Bauer with time to throw, going through his progressions and making the catch all the way to the 45-yard line. What a throw by Wyatt Bauer. He put it on the button and Golker reeled it in.
And matched up against Lamont Cox, who has pretty good coverage here. Just a seam route, trying to get it right here. And it's good coverage, again, by Lamont Cox. Release the tight end up the wheel route, and a good accurate throw from Wyatt Bauer.
27 yards to Golker, and they will go to him on the ground this time as he skips his way ahead. Carson Golker has been a busy man in this first half, and he is just relishing the role of do-it-all type football player this year for Ferris State. And local media was asking, well, if you had to narrow it down, what do you do? What position do you play? And he kind of laughs and grins. He says, I play football. I'm a football player.
Doesn't matter the position. I'll go anywhere they tell me. Again, this is a guy, they have him put his hand down at tight end, inline blocking, and at H-back and running back.
He's done it all in this first half, and now for the second time they go jet sweep to Rose, and trying to turn on his Jets. He should have enough for the first down as we check in with Morgan.
Well, Golker told me he has the most fun in that tight end role. He enjoys running routes and catching passes, but also blocking. He said at first there was a mentality, I hope I could do this, to now with all the reps, he said it's time to start punishing people. He's fully embraced the physicality of the position, guys.
Yeah, and he's added a lot of weight since the last time we saw him a year ago when he was injured. He's gained about 15 pounds of muscle, spent a ton of time in the weight room. That helps out with the blocking element and some of these tough runs. First down, this is the youngster Jake Price, who is getting more reps late in the year.
That was a guy, one of the stars a week ago in the semifinal win over Newberry. Jake Price, almost 100 yards on the ground a week ago, and has become a consistent every down back. Look at that lateral quickness. I think the other thing that stood out to me over the course of the season for Price, contact balance. He does such a good job as he's making contact, able to stay forward, leans forward with those tough yards, is going to be a great back in the future for Ferris State.
Price, a Muskegon High School product. Head coach Shane Fairfield does a terrific job with that program, and now movement for Ferris State.
False start. Offense, number 72. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That is Tim Anderson, who earlier in the week found out that he was recognized as the nation's top Division II lineman, the winner of the Upshaw Award.
Unfortunately, we're calling him out for a false start, but congratulations to Tim Anderson. Has been a stalwart on that outside of the offensive line for Ferris State, and getting to play next to, again, his Tim brother, Bob Anderson.
Call those two guys Tim Bob, as if they're one on the right side. After the penalty, they try to get the ball into the hands of Brett, working the screen, trying to follow a block from Tarek Bauer, but not much. Good pursuit by Troy Wiseman.
Remember, this is the end of the field where Ferris State, because they would be kicking into the wind on a 4th and long situation, they went for it. So this is critical here for Ferris, trying to get this into a shorter field goal attempt, or obviously if they could capitalize with a touchdown.
Yeah, the part of the field that the drive, quite frankly, stalled last time Ferris State had it down right close to the red zone.
Also good news for Ferris State, we see Carson Golker pop back out of the injury tent with his helmet back on, moving around on the sideline.
Second down and 12. Rose in motion. Bauer will fling it toward the end zone. Caught. Touchdown, Bulldogs.
Unbelievable throw, having to layer this over a defender. Watch how he has to get that over the linebacker, and before the corner is able to come over, that's as good as it gets from Wyatt Bauer.
Bauer with a beauty. Underwood paid the price as he held on to it. And Ferris State, for the second time in this opening half, goes up 14. Cam Underwood loves the spotlight of the championship game. He had a couple of touchdowns last year, and he makes one heck of a catch following the strike from Wyatt Bauer.
And showing that toughness. Like you said, Sean, you know you're going to take a shot from the other side. Going across the middle like that. Great throw and catch. Don't have to worry about going forward on 4th and long if you capitalize like that in the end zone.
2 touchdowns last year for Underwood, who was a starter on the national championship team. Wants to go into social work when his football days are done. And Tony Anise was telling a neat story last summer. The entire social work department at Ferris State, all of his buddies that he spends a lot of time with off the gridiron, came and watched an entire practice with him out there. And Cam Underwood, one of those players that loves to serve and cannot wait for his opportunity to do that once he graduates. But what a 2-year stretch it has been for him, who seems to play his best when the spotlight is the brightest. How about that drive for Ferris State? They go 95 yards on Harding. Short kick. It's caught up in the wind. And on the return, right is popped just as he crossed the 25.
Big drive here for Harding. This is not an offense that wants to get into 2-minute situations running the flex bone. They've got the 2 timeouts. Looks like with where the clock is at, I believe that would take us to the 2-minute timeout.
Cole Keelan will head to the sideline. He will gather his offense. Some work to do. Uncharted territory for the Bisons. NCAA postseason football continues with the FCS semifinals next on ESPN2. For more information, visit NCAA.com, the home for all NCAA championships. Long journey all the way from Big Rapids, Michigan, but so far it has been worth it. In uncharted territory for the Bisons from Searcy, Arkansas. A little under 6-hour drive west, and the largest deficit that they have faced all season. The 14 points right now for Keelan in this offense. They trailed only once, and that was earlier in the year at Henderson State, down 3. That's how good they have been all year. Keep in mind, Ferris State will get the football to start the second half as well after deferring. Keelan on first down, hands it to Miller, and he has stood up. Gang tackling by the Bulldogs.
Say it again, that's been the most impressive part of this game so far. Ferris State on defense, taking away the midline. Andrew Miller came into this game almost 2,000 yards on the ground, running that exact style play. And so far, Ferris State has limited his production in a big way.
Miller today, 9 carries, 26 yards, well below his average. Keelan the throw. Barnett got behind the secondary, makes a cut, still on his feet, finally tracked down by Madison. They don't throw it a lot, but boy, when they do, it's effective.
And they lose him out of the backfield. 13, they get behind here, and they take the flat route. Nobody goes with the corner. Just a bust on the back end. And credit to this offense in Harding. You mentioned it, they don't throw it a ton, but effective again.
42 yards to Barnett, who had the only catch last week in the win against Kutztown. Keelan pitches, there goes Jay. Down the sideline, lost the football. The hit by the defender Ware, helmet on leather, knocked the ball, but fortunately for Harding, it went right out of bounds.
And one of the only times so far we've seen Braden Jay able to get to the edge and show some of that speed. Fortunate that the fumble just went out of bounds. This is a incredibly impressive drive from Harding. Talked about 2-minute offense is not their strength, but moving the ball quickly, just in a minute all the way down in the red zone.
Explosive plays for Harding. Finally able to rip off a few on this 2-minute drive as they take it inside the red zone. Under a minute to go. This time Jay gets caught. Jalen Jones, what a first half for the leader of this defense.
There he is again, number 42. On the defensive side, he may be your MVP so far for Ferris State. Single-handedly blows this up. Watch how he slips between both of these blocks, comes away with the tackle for loss, and there's 2 Harding receivers on the outside trying to block him. So even if he doesn't make the play, you've got all the red hats behind him. He's been unbelievable so far for the Bulldogs on defense.
Big return to this defense for Jalen Jones. For more on that story, here's Morgan.
It was week 2 during practice. He injured a ligament in his right foot, and he told me he tried to come back for that Grand Valley game week 9 and wasn't ready, re-injured it, and was out till the first round of the playoffs. It was the first time in his career that injury really put him out. So the toughest part was mental, but he never stepped away from his role as a leader, logging extra hours in the film room, attacking his rehab so he wouldn't miss a beat when he returned, and he's shown that today, guys.
Yeah, he certainly has. Another takeaway in this game. That is now 6 takeaways for Jones in 4.5 football games. 4 interceptions, a couple of fumble recoveries. Keelan is going to throw, lofts it into the end zone, deflected high, and caught! Oh my, what concentration! Touchdown to Franklin!
I cannot believe Christian Franklin came down with this football. It gets floated in the air, tipped up, looks like it's going to be an interception, and not only does he go take away the football from the defender, watch this, reaches up, snatches this out of the air, and gets a foot in bounds. What an unbelievable play from Christian Franklin.
Giassi Madison thought he had a pick, and then out of nowhere, Franklin able to snatch it and toe drag, and just like that, Harding takes it down the field, and they cut it to 7. Who says you can't throw out of the flex boat?
That's as good as it gets from Christian Franklin. Almost an interception, turned touchdown. And Sean, that's also huge because Ferris State gets the ball coming out of half. If Ferris State had been able to get a stop there, you feel like you almost steal a possession because you're getting the ball right back. What a huge momentum play for Harding. We'll take one more look at it. Trying to throw the pop pass to Franklin. The ball floats a little bit. This needs to be thrown a little bit more on a line. Almost an interception. You said it. Madison thinks it's an interception. It's going to fall in his lap. Credit to Franklin not only to secure the catch, but to get that foot in bounds. Great play from Christian Franklin.
What a first half for Franklin, who has been through a lot in his young life, and this is a guy they say always has a smile. Young man who never has a bad day. He is married, has a lovely wife who cheers him on each and every week, and she is smiling right now. Harding, thanks to his heroics, a 5-play, 71-yard drive. A little more than a minute off the game clock. And keep in mind, Ferris State had to burn some early timeouts, so with 46 seconds to go, no timeouts. We'll see how aggressive Tony Annese plays. Strong kick. This one sails over the head of Brett through the end zone for the touchback.
And Sean, you're exactly right. You go back to Tony Annese having to use those timeouts early in the game. If you have 2 or 3 of those right now, you feel really good about trying to get into a 2-minute operation. But I don't think you feel like that now with 46 seconds, no timeouts. I think you run one play here to see if you pop something loose, but if this gets tackled in bounds, don't be surprised if you see Ferris State just take this into the half. They may go ahead and do that right now and take a knee, which is what looks like they're gonna do.
They have been highly efficient in this first half. Bauer, Carter, Golker all taking snaps.
Quick play.
And now, yeah, it looked like they were going to go down to a knee, and they run everybody right, and that is a tackle there from Luke Martin. He ended any hopes of trickery on that play. Martin, hard-nosed stop, and Ferris State looking over to the sideline. Tony Annese, a big smile on his face. The respect between these two coaches, I thought, was really fun to watch as it played out in the media, and then we saw it in person yesterday.
We saw it in person. They get along great, so much so, in fact, that Tony Annese calls Paul Simmons' youngest son and says, look, I need to talk to him right now. We want to go ahead and offer him right now, the day before the national championship. And what a first half here in McKinney.
A friendly banner back and forth between the two coaches, the respect between these two programs, the two best teams in Division II, and they put on quite a show in this first half. Ferris State, the early momentum, they jumped out to a quick 14-0 lead. Harding battled back, and now a 7-point lead for the Bulldogs as we check in with Morgan.
Coach, what was your reaction to what happened on that final Harding touchdown there?
Every time you ask me a question, I got something negative to say. So that was a hard one, man. That was tough. You know, they started with 2 minutes, 2 minutes to go in that drive, and they aren't exactly a pass team, right? And then for them to score right before half, that's heartbreaking. So still up by 7, so happy about that. But, you know, we just it's a great program, a great team. You can't give anybody anything, and we just gave them 7.
Well, let's turn it into a positive. Your quarterback, Wyatt Bauer, what's impressed you with the way he's commanded this offense so far?
Yeah, they've all played well. You know, I think Chase has gone in there and done really well too. So, so far so good. We had a couple penalties, like snap infractions, that cost us the one drive. Otherwise, 3 touchdowns and 4 possessions.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Morgan. Halftime here from McKinney, Texas. Two programs who know this part of the country quite well. Miller has the rushing touchdown. What a half for Bauer. Connection to Underwood. Ferris State by 7. You're watching the NCAA Division II National Championship. Boy, this one has lived up to all the pregame hype. A good one inside McKinney ISD Stadium. Halftime, and yes, indeed, this is it. 2 teams perfect on the year, both 15-0. Ferris State has never trailed in this first half, a 21-14 lead, and what a first half for the redshirt freshman, Wyatt Bauer.
Jumped all over Harding on the defensive side. Wyatt Bauer running the football, a couple quick strikes between the tackles. Harding finally found an answer on that midline. Andrew Miller able to get their first touchdown. One of the most impressive throws of the season for Wyatt Bauer to Cam Underwood. And then how about this play before half? Tip ball up in the air. Christian Franklin able to fight for it, get a foot in bounds. That was a massive play for that first half. Harding able to go into halftime just down 7.
Ferris State won the toss to start the football game, deferring, so we will see their offense to begin this third quarter. A half to determine who will be the 2025 national champion as the kick sails through the end zone for the touchback. Take a look at the first half numbers. If you are going to beat the Flexbone and Harding, you must win the time of possession battle, and so far Ferris State a 2-1 edge there, and a balanced attack for an offense that averages 515 yards per game.
And on the ground, Harding, you see the 132 rush yards on the ground. Again, that is an offense when Harding is running the football that averages almost 450 on the ground. And then you said it, the 2-1 in time of possession for Ferris State. I think that stands out most to me, doing a great job staying on the field on offense.
First down from the 25. Carter will keep it, run off the back of his own blocker, Golker, and pick up good yardage up to the 36. Well, what's the feeling for Harding coming out of the locker room for that pulse? Let's swing it down to Morgan.
Coach Simmons told me they defensively really just have to be better with so many different weapons. They make you defend every inch of the field. He said, we have to be better on third down. He said, offensively, he saw a look in Coach Wheaton's eye, the grandfather of this Flexbone, very dialed in at half and optimistic.
Carter takes off, and the speedster from Orlando, you're not going to catch this guy. Touchdown! 64 yards to the house for Chase Carter.
Just a little bit of a lane, and Chase Carter takes advantage, all speed to the end zone. Blocked up well again, and he hits the crease untouched on his way to the end zone. That speed you talked about earlier, Sean. This is one of the best athletes on the field, and if he gets in the open field, very few people in the country can catch him.
This is a special game for Chase Carter. He had it circled. It was this game last year, the win over Harding in the quarterfinals, that he suffered a torn labrum. No one knew about it until the offseason. He had surgery in January, could hardly throw a football at the start of fall camp, and now with a busted toe, showcasing his speed.
And a great job, the left side of the offensive line pulling around, blocked up well. That offensive line's played great the entire first half. And then you see just with a little bit of a crease, the speed to get to the end zone. And his offensive coordinator, Stephen Ease, loves it.
Carter started 3 consecutive games to begin the playoffs. Last week they went to Bauer. Bauer nursing a hamstring injury late in the year, and Chase Carter has delivered in the postseason. And he got injured last week, suffered the toe injury. So Bauer and Carter banged up coming into this one, but you wouldn't know it on that last run from Chase Carter.
In this building, a lot of energy coming out of half on that visitor sideline for Harding, and that has been zapped immediately by that big play from Bauer in this offense from Ferris State.
Harding from the 10. And look out, a little bit of room opens up, and now a foot race is right. Takes off, and they're not going to catch him. 90 yards. Are we having fun yet? Touchdown, Harding.
No flags on the field. Now it's whether or not he stepped out. We are right next to the replay booth, and they're signaling maybe going back and looking at this. Call is going to stand on the field. Just got the signal that he stayed in bounds. What a great job. Tap dancing down the sideline to stay in bounds, and another huge momentum play.
Kyson Wright, the sophomore from Little Rock. 90 yards, and we have not even played a minute. And each team with an explosive play, as the point after is good, but a flag down, so we will wait and see what this is all about.
Too many men, it looked like, for Ferris State. This will decline this, but what a play to respond. The back and forth, last 3 possessions for these teams, trading blows with one another, like a title fight between these two teams right now.
Offside. Defense. The penalties decline. The try is good.
Huge play in the return game. The special teams element that we knew was going to be so important. Right, tiptoeing that sideline, getting into the end zone. We've got a ball game here. Division II National Championship in McKinney, back and forth. We've got a good one.
II National Championship, and the drama just keeps getting thicker and thicker. Kyson Wright, the sophomore, with his first kickoff return for a touchdown this season. It was only his 7th kickoff return this year. 90 yards for Wright. And just like that, 51 seconds into this third quarter, we see Chase Carter go 64 yards. A long score for Ferris State, only to see the special teams come up big for Harding. Bisons continue to do a good job keeping the ball away from the dangerous Tariq Brett. "14 points over the last 12 seconds. Compliments of the legs of Chase Carter and the speed of Kyson Wright. And now if you're Harding in this defense, you have 1 stop on the day. That was the 4th down stop early in the first half. Other than that, this Ferris State offense has had a lot of success. On the RPO and finding a little bit of a hole is Brady Rose as he takes off. Rose into plus territory to the 41, and they are just gouging the Bisons right now.
And a really nice job throwing to his left again from Wyatt Bauer. We talked about he's so good working to his left, accurate throw, finding Brady Rose in the soft spot of zone coverage. And Brady Rose with that speed, thought maybe for a second there he may take that the distance.
32 yards to Rose. Same play. Now they'll take a shot deep down the near side, right on the button to Boyd. his first touch of the day, and Ferris State has it 1st and goal. Holy smokes.
And the young corner, Josh Gatlin, redshirt freshman, gets caught with his eyes in the backfield. He's in perfect coverage with Tay Boyd, turns around, and that's where Gatlin loses sight of his man, turns into a huge play.
Bauer ready to go, looking for his 3rd rushing touchdown. He has it, plunges ahead, touchdown Ferris State, and that was easy.
Just like that, 3 plays, length of the field, keep the ball on the ground. They've done a great job of this already. 3rd touchdown rushing for Wyatt Bauer.
Three plays, 75 yards. Not even a minute off the game clock for Wyatt Bauer and the Bulldogs. Point after by Mitchell Middleton is up and through. Middleton in there for an injured Eddie Jewett. As Morgan reported during the break, Jewett seen coming out of the locker room on a crutch. So a developing situation at the kicker position for Ferris State.
And the other situation is for 2 defenses that have hung their hat on being some of the tops in scoring defense in the country. Harding, the top scoring defense in the country, and Ferris, one of the top 20. Right now, his offense is getting most of what they want. You factor in special teams for Harding, 3 touchdowns already in this second half. We haven't even played 2 minutes of football in this 3rd quarter.
Last week it was Jake Price who rushed and accounted for 3 touchdowns for Ferris State. Today it's been the redshirt freshman, another youngster on the Bulldog roster, Wyatt Bauer. He's accounted for 4 scores, 9 of 15 through the air, 163 yards, the touchdown pass, and then running the football, 5 carries, 38 yards, and 3 rushing scores for Bauer, playing in his first NCAA championship. Middleton with the approach, and Wright's going to get another crack at it. Moments ago, a 90-yard return. This way, time taking it out past the 25, up to the 30-yard line. The NCAA Women's Volleyball National Championship match is tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on ABC and the ESPN app. 3-seed Texas A&M takes on the top seed Kentucky inside the beautiful T-Mobile Center in Kansas City. How about the job for the Aggies this year? They've knocked off 2 1 seeds. Can they do it again? Took down Nebraska and Pitt. They will look to take down another top seed Kentucky tomorrow.
And a little bit of a wrinkle here already for Harding. 2 receivers split out to one side. Little different look you don't typically see from Harding.
Same result though, and that is really tough chugging in between the tackles for their star fullback, Andrew Miller. Miller held in check. His 10th carry today, just 26 yards. It's under 3 yards a pop for a rusher closing in on 2,000 this season.
And the number one thing been most impressed with Ferris, limiting the midline and limiting Andrew Miller. Again, you just said it, almost 2,000 yards on the season. They've done a great job of bottling him up in the interior.
Second down and 8. They will pitch it to Jay. Patient run there by Jay, but nothing opened up. He got lassoed down up around the neck area by Tim Allen.
Miller over 2,000 yards, excuse me. Credit to him for getting there. Devere Jones, number 2, doing a great job right now, forcing everything wide. That's another safety. We've talked a lot about Jalen Jones, but Devere Jones doing a good job making this offense run sideline to sideline, and this is a big play here. I think if you get this to anything 4th and short, you'll see Harding stay on the field on offense.
Yeah, they brought in Jones from the NAIA ranks. Ferris State did. He won a national championship last year at that level, so now trying to win a title in back-to-back years. Keelan is going to throw, zips it. Franklin out of the backfield, got open, and he makes the catch. Jalen Jones the stop, a third down conversion. Keelan, perfect throwing the football today.
And up the seam again, great job. Got eyes in the backfield from the defensive back, Nolan Ziegler, from the linebacker spot, and you get Franklin in behind it. Good accurate throw from Cole Keelan. And they've had to throw the football more than they typically like to because, again, the midline is being limited by this Ferris State front. So the answer, have to be able to throw the football more than you typically would if you're Harding.
And keep in mind, Keelan was a good throwing quarterback during his high school days at Harrison High School. And when he arrived at Harding, quite frankly, Coach Simmons thought he was maybe the fifth or sixth guy in the quarterback room, but then all of a sudden they gave him a chance. They got to watch him up close and his leadership skill. And as we have talked about, the decision-making running the flex bone and the offensive numbers have just skyrocketed under his leadership.
I think also for Cole Keelan, who's clearly banged up, that's been something we've been tracking all game. How much is he going to keep the football and rush? Really not much production running the football right now. Clearly gutting it out and battling through these injuries that Morgan touched on earlier.
Second down, he will pitch it. This is Franklin, and he is cut down for a loss. Justin Payout. We haven't talked about him much today, but he is one of the top defenders, not just in the Division II level, but all of college football.
You've got Payout, and you've also got number 24, Ziegler. There's two different defenders that are coming down, nowhere to go on the outside. That's good team defense rallying to the football. And you said it with Justin Payout. We asked Tony Anise yesterday, have you ever had a defensive back that has better instincts than Justin Payout? He said, no, not even close. By far the best instincts of any DB that I've been around.
Payout with a Ferris State single season record, 9 interceptions, including a couple of key ones last week. Third down and 8. They stay on the boundary side to Franklin, and he won't get there. Just a numbers game along the far side. Nolan Ziegler has been all over from his linebacker position. 4 down territory, possibly for Harding here.
Looks like they're going to bring the punt unit on. Try to play, they're going to bring the field goal unit on. And this is outside the range that I think we were expecting from Magnus Lepak.
The wind is behind him, however, the wind has died down considerably. 57 yards officially for Magnus Lepak, whose career long is 48. Kick is on the way. Does it have enough leg? It does not. It falls just short, and Harding comes up empty. The Bisons rolling the die, the trust in the junior from Tulsa, Lepak, just short. Can't believe it. Harding trails by 14. (35-21), Ferris State out in front. Last year, Wyatt Bauer was the scout team quarterback for the Bulldogs. He got a chance to sit up close and learn a lot from Trinidad Chambliss, and he's looking like Chambliss today.
He's done a little bit of everything, running the football well between the tackles, standing and delivering the ball through the air as well. That throw in the second quarter to Cam Underwood was unbelievable. Then his 4th touchdown total overall in this game. I think right now, if you're Harding, trying to figure out how do we create a takeaway, some sort of negative play, because right now Ferris State is lining up and getting almost whatever they want on the offensive side.
Tony and Steve Anise continue to mix it up. They have Golker at quarterback. He swings it out to Tariq Brett. Brett sprints up to the 48-yard line. There is Clark Griffin in on the stop, the 5th-year senior who started his career at Alabama and has grown into one of the top tacklers that Division II has ever seen.
7A Player of the Year in Alabama as a senior in high school, went to Alabama, now here at Harding. Loved when we talked to Coach a week ago, said he's got a chip on his shoulder the size of Texas.
Second down, Golker's going to take a shot, one-on-one coverage, and it is caught. What a throw to the freshman, Tariq Bauer. First down, Ferris State.
And the Harding sideline is going ballistic. They want offensive pass interference on this. The entire sideline is out of the box right now, looking at the side judge. Let's see at the top of the screen, is there a shove on Josh Gatlin? See that push in the back? I don't think there's any question. Looks like he got away with it, and he's looking back at the receiver, the umpire. I think absolutely offensive pass interference that was missed there.
Golker over the left side, not much. So if Wyatt Bauer's not beating you, it's his twin brother Tarek on that last catch. The two twins were always going to be a package deal, and when they came out of Corunna High School, Ferris State came calling, and there was no hesitation. The two brothers so tight off the field. Tarek's been banged up of late, returned last week and caught a touchdown from his brother Wyatt, who's checked back in at quarterback. Twin brothers have done some damage this year with the Andersons on the offensive line and then the Bauer brothers at the skill set. Here was movement, it looked like, by Ferris State.
Prior to the snap, false start. Offense, number 75, 5-yard penalty, second down.
That's Dane Arnett, first-year starter, who they are really high on.
Another one of those high school wrestlers converted to offensive lineman that I know you love so much, Sean.
Can't beat it. Yeah, you have Arnett, who wrestled. The linebacker, Brady Hamby, was a really good wrestler. The left guard, Ben Pristula, was a dual sport. He wrestled and he played basketball. You don't find that too often, especially for a big guy up front. Second down and 12 after the penalty. Bauer's going to move the pocket, sprints right, being pursued. You see the speed that he has, bad hamstring and all. That time it was the freshman, the true freshman, Josh Garner, who was in the pursuit.
I'm sure that hamstring feels a little bit better in McKinney at 75 degrees and sunny compared to a week ago at home. The wind chill at -10.
Yeah, what a difference a week makes. They had cooling towels down on the Ferris State sideline today in McKinney, 80 degrees. Even warm for these parts of the country for late December, less than a week away from Christmas. Third down and 11. They run a stunt. It's picked up. Drag pattern. There goes Golker. Hesitates to the 5. Touchdown. Wyatt Bauer to Carson Golker. Ferris State, their largest lead of the day.
Another shallow cross that gets lost by this defense from Harding. Carson Golker, they busted Harding on this early in the game. They're going to come across. You got him coming this way and another shallow cross this way. They lose Golker in traffic, and he walks in the end zone. This is one that Harding's got to be able to pass that off and communicate. Instead, an easy score for this offense.
What a drive there for Carson Golker. He had the long pass play, the 47-yarder to Bauer to set it up, and now the touchdown reception. NCAA postseason football continues with the FCS semifinals next on ESPN2. For more information, visit NCAA.com, the home for all NCAA championships. 6:14 to go, third quarter inside beautiful McKinney ISD Stadium, and Ferris State has stretched their lead to 21, the largest on the afternoon for the defending champions, looking for their 4th crown in the last 5 years.
They've only been stopped on one drive so far today, and that was in Harding territory, going for it on a 4th and long, and we realize now Morgan calling out injury at the kicker spot with Eddie Jewett. You realize why they didn't go for it there, but outside of that one possession, Ferris State has not been stopped. This offense that's been dynamic all season, showing you why.
And it really is amazing. We documented the story today. Tony Anise lost 8 really good players to the transfer portal. A couple of starters on the offensive line. Lawrence Attar went to Michigan. Bryce George transferred to Iowa. Of course, the quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss, right now putting on a show in the opening round of the college football playoff for Ole Miss as they take on Tulane. And that was a big blow. And Coach Anise talked about the emotion of watching these guys that he brought up throughout the years hit the transfer portal. And, you know, he went into this season coming off what he described the toughest offseason of his 3+ decades along the sideline.
Combination of the transfer portal and injuries, said in spring, I don't know what we're going to look like this fall.
On the kick, this is Hines working his way out past the 25 up to the 27-yard line. So you take a look at what this team had happened during the offseason. The portal really struck them. Chambliss now with Ole Miss. Cannon Katzer hit the portal to West Virginia. We talked about the two linemen going to the Big Ten, and then on the defensive side of the ball was Saipa-Ia in the year that he had for the MAC champion Western Michigan Broncos. Those are some big names to fill.
Big names to fill, and then again the injuries that Ferris State had to deal with. You didn't have Carson Golker for the spring, Chase Carter. They were banged up at a number of positions, but it speaks to the depth and what Tony Annese has built at Ferris State to have this sustained success.
Franklin tight-roping the far sideline. Good job there with limited space. Tight real estate for Christian Franklin. So Taylor, there's still tons of time. We've seen the big play element all throughout this football game. Under 6 minutes to go in this third quarter. Does Harding change anything yet?
Not yet. I mean, it starts with you've got the ball here, obviously going down and getting points and getting a touchdown. I think trying to manufacture some sort of extra possession, whether that's creating a takeaway or on special teams, something has to happen for Harding on defense with a takeaway or getting an extra possession on special teams, because they're not getting stops right now on offense, or on defense, excuse me.
Keelan will move the chains, a first down, another tackle for Tim Allen.
And that's easier said than done, right? Stealing a possession, everybody would love to do that. But Ferris State right now on the offensive side, we just said it, they've only had one drive stall out and not end in points. They're doing about whatever they want. But it starts here for Harding, a team that they have tremendous resolve. It's far from over in this game, but it starts here with capitalizing on this drive with a touchdown.
Second appearance in the national finals in 3 years for the Bisons from Searcy, Arkansas. Keelan fakes the pitch, tried to change course, and a good open field tackle by Byers, who's had a good game. And we talked about Saipa-Ia hitting the portal to Western Michigan, and they needed some linebackers to step up, and Byers has been one of those guys.
And this is clear that right now Keelan is banged up. We saw him a week ago on a play just like that against Kutztown, take off and rip off a 50-yard touchdown run. I think right now clearly battling through that MCL injury.
Andrew Miller has been taken out of the equation for the most part. Ruffin, the senior defensive lineman who was a reserve last year up front. Third down for Keelan in the offense. Clock continuing to move. Harding needs something big here. Keep an eye on number 13, Brady Barnett. When they go to the air, the receiver position, he is usually the guy that they're dialing up. Simmons is going to walk down the sideline, and he will call a timeout. We had so much fun talking with Coach Simmons yesterday in our meetings, and he talked about how he wants to be Arkansas's Division II program. And, you know, you look at the history of Arkansas football, it's been more than 30 years since the Natural State has been home to a national powerhouse. And we're talking really at all the different levels, whether it's the Razorbacks, the D2 levels, even you go back to Central Arkansas when they had the really good run in Conway and the NAIA winning 3 titles. And what he has done in his tenure, they clearly are on that path.
There's no doubt. And have a national championship from 2 years ago. You're back in the championship game here today. And building that, you know, modeling a lot of it after what Tony Annese and Ferris State have done as well, where the expectation is not just the postseason and conference championships, but every season to get to this part of the season to compete for a national championship.
Well, let's see what they come up with here on third down. They go to all reliable number 8, Andrew Miller, and he is chopped down shy of the first down. Back taking it to the 48-yard line. And obviously down 3 scores, the offense stays out there.
Tough sledding again. You see all the bodies down at the line of scrimmage. This defensive line, Marquis Jones, Caleb Davis, Javon Ruffin, interior defensive line, they have stepped up time and again. Huge opportunity here. Think about slamming the door shut on this game. That's a potential here if Ferris State can get a stop.
This defensive line, headlined by Davis, the GLIAC Defensive Lineman of the Year. They have done the job. 4th down, Keelan is going to throw. Back foot, looking downfield, some contact. No flag, and it's another stop for Ferris State. Madison, the veteran on the back end, both he and Payout.
A 4th and 1, and Harding decides to put it in the air. Ultimate sign of respect for how well Ferris State has played. Good coverage on the back end from Madison. And how about this defense? Answering the bell time and again. There's a special team score. Outside of that, only giving up 2 touchdowns to one of the top offenses and the top rush offense in all of college football.
Well, you look at this Ferris State defense and the job that Tony Anise has done as the defensive coordinator. Remember, they switched to the 4-2-5 a year ago. Now an offline snap. They run the end around to Brady Rose, who was a high school quarterback, and he spins it downfield incomplete. And then Rose got hit by Sobzak just as he released it.
Well, they've let Brady Rose throw it a couple times this season. Like you said, he is a high school, was a high school quarterback. Ends up taking a shot there as he releases the ball.
Morgan.
Well, for Coach Simmons, the goal is always about having the best culture in America, and I'm seeing that shine through on this Harding sideline. This defense has plenty of belief, multiple players speaking up about continuing the fight and focus, and they're going to be without, though, their starting strong safety, Deion Campbell, whose left arm is currently in a sling, guys.
Yeah, and this was the defense already without the services of Curtis Jackson today, so the secondary getting even thinner. And Ferris State taking full advantage of it. Tariq Brett high kneeing it, out of bounds, but a 1st down gallop, and all the momentum right now with the defending champs. Deion Campbell, who has been a key player on the back end of this secondary. And keep in mind, this is a Harding defense coming into the season that lost their 2 starters to graduation. Then they lost one of the anticipated starters to an injury, so they have been really filling the back end with a lot of inexperienced players throughout the course of the season.
Especially that safety spot. You touched on it, but Ty Duggar, that ACL injury, he's actually back playing some. Played last week, but that was a guy, 2024 All-American, that they've had to have guys like Luke Martin and Deion Campbell step up in place of some of these injured returners from a year ago.
Ferris State in no hurry right now as we cut inside 2 minutes to go in this national championship game. 2nd down, they will run the option and look at the speed of Brett to the sideline, and then he blew a gasket when he had clear turf out in front of him, and Tariq Brett can't believe it.
Almost looked like the turf monster gets him at the end. It's that zone read, pitch it off of the end. Great recognition by Wyatt Bauer, and that's exactly it. The dreaded turf monster raises up, grabbed him at about the 15-yard line.
There are 3 members of this football roster, including Brett, that are part of the very solid indoor track and field team at Ferris State. Tariq Brett, one of those weapons with his speed. Change of direction, getting to the outside. This is Golker with it. They just come at you in so many different ways.
They really do. And when you think about for Harding on defense, I mean, all season, this is the top scoring defense in all of Division II football. Gave up just under 11 points a game. And Ferris State, when they line up and they don't have negative plays and penalties, they're getting about whatever they want. And I think it starts again with that offensive line. The best offensive line in Division II football, and they're showing you why tonight.
Came in a nation's best, averaging 515 yards per game, and today they already have 526, and we still have a full quarter to play. Impressive showing. This is Price hop skipping his way, and he is denied the end zone. Ball might have popped loose. Does Harding get the turnover that they desperately needed? It was real late, and they're going to say Bison's football. So Harding gets a takeaway late. The freshman Price puts the ball on the turf.
Looked like as he's fighting for that extra yard, gets down to about the 1 yard line, try to get this ball in the end zone. He reaches it out as he's on top of the defender. From that look, I agree, Sean. I think that ball was out. This will be a great look at it. He's still on top of the defender, tries to reach it out, and that ball comes out. I don't think there's any question that that was a fumble clearly recovered by Harding, and this will stand.
Yeah, Zach O'Day punched the ball out, and as you talked about, the body weight of Price landed smack dab on top of Sobzak, number 45.
We said a minute ago Harding needed to try to create a takeaway. There's an opportunity, keeping Ferris State out of the end zone, just the second drive of the day that hasn't ended in a touchdown for Ferris.
Boy, how about a 180 on that development. Now Miller with a little bit of rare daylight as he lumbers his way out past the 15. Looked like Ferris State was going in maybe for the knockout punch, and Harding able to get the one takeaway, and they will march to the other end as the third quarter expires. The national championship heads to the fourth from McKinney.
Welcome back to McKinney, Texas here. The start of the fourth quarter here with Harding head coach Paul Simmons. Coach, a huge turnover by your defense, the start of a good drive. How do you finish in these final 15?
Well, we needed a break right there, and we got it. I tell you what, I love my kids, love how hard they compete. We just got to come up with some plays in the fourth quarter right here. If the game's close late, I love the Bisons. I love my boys, and we just got to keep on fighting and find a way to make a few plays and get a stop or two. We got to get stops, but it ain't over yet.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Paul Simmons has built Harding into a national power, and the goal, he says, is never about winning. That will take care of itself. The goal is always about wanting to do all the things in our power to have the very best culture in college football in America. And as we start this fourth quarter, we will find out about the culture. Looking at an uphill climb, down 21, looking for their second national championship in 3 years. Ferris State looking for their fourth title in 5 years, and the defending champs putting on an offensive showcase today. 526 yards of total offense for the Bulldogs. Alongside Taylor McHarg, Morgan Uber down on the field. Sean Kinney with you as we welcome you to the start of this fourth quarter, as Franklin will take it off the pitch and he will push his way up to the 26.
Harding needs to pick up the pace just a little bit. Obviously, flex bone, up tempo, those are usually things you do not hear in the same sentence, but down 3 touchdowns in this final quarter. Expect them to get on the ball, get their operation picked up just a little bit more than their typical tempo.
Braden Jay, number 7 in white for Harding, has been the guy when they have needed a huge play. Throughout the past 4 years, he's been the one guy to deliver. Here he throws a big block, and that opens up a hole for Keelan. And Keelan with 11 yards to the 37. So that time, Jay just bulldozered one of the defenders, and Keelan said, "Thank you very much."
And midline's immediately taken away. Good recognition from Cole Keelan. Pull the ball and get vertical. And for a guy that's dealing with a litany of injuries, fighting this out, gutting it out, picking up a big first down for his offense.
He broke his thumb last week. He tore his MCL earlier this year, suffered a separated shoulder in week 11, plus a quad contusion in the cold weather of Kutztown last week. That's what Cole Keelan is dealing with. Again, no urgency here. Play clock down to 1. Keelan is going to throw. The southpaw is going to take a shot downfield, but Barnett was well covered. Justin Payout making sure that nobody was going to sneak behind him that time.
Not very many times you can pick on Justin Payout. Best defensive back in Division II football. You said it earlier, 9 interceptions this season. Unbelievable. And for a defensive unit, it created 40 takeaways on the season. Harding just the one fumble early in the game that was created by Jalen Jones. Outside of that, really have done a decent job of protecting the football against a unit that has thrived on creating takeaways.
Each team with one takeaway today. Ferris State capitalized back in the first half. Harding trying to do it late. Franklin, who's been busy, rumbling up to the 41-yard line. Another tackle for Tim Allen. How about this guy, the junior from Coopersville, Michigan? And this is all about trusting the process when you look at the career of Tim Allen. He was a scout team player the first 2 years on campus.
And now described by defensive coordinator Tony Annese as the leader of that defensive line. It speaks to, just like you said, trusting the process, sticking with it, getting better and better, and then capitalizing on his opportunity this season.
Second straight year where he has sparkled in the championship game. Harding 3 of 7 on third downs, 1 of 4 on their last few tries. They will hand the ball off, and this is Miller with a first down run. He just hopped on the back of David Gomez and said, big guy, open up the hole, and he did.
One of the few plays tonight we've seen that midline open up. Credit on that right side of the offensive line, like you mentioned, Gomez collapsing it down. It's actually the trap bringing across Andrew Miller, able to pick up that first down.
Clock continues to move inside 12 minutes. Keelan, this Harding offense approaching 300 yards tonight. Franklin in motion. Keelan will keep it. Keelan diving up ahead to the 46. Brady Hamby, young linebacker, in on the stop.
And this looks like the kind of rhythm that we came to expect and what Harding fans have seen for so long with this offense. Midline taken away, quarterback pulls it, get vertical, and pick up 5 yards. If you see this out of the gate from the very beginning of this game, I think it looks a little bit different for Harding, but Ferris State had a great plan in that first quarter, especially of slowing down Harding, and what's turned into a track meet. Those early possessions that didn't end in points for Harding have come back to bite them.
A couple of fresh bodies checking in along the defensive wall with Ruffin and Saipa-Ia. Miller into the pile, crosses it to the 44, setting up a third down.
And again, with Harding, this is a team, they've broken their own NCAA record in terms of rushing yards and rushing touchdowns on the season. Came into this game needing just over 300 on the ground to capture 7,000 rushing yards and 87 rushing touchdowns coming into this game. But so far tonight, Ferris State, again, has had a great plan in that interior defensive line of slowing this offense down.
Third down and 3. Can they convert another one? They will pitch it. Jay behind a Franklin lead block, and he got thrown forward. And a first down run by Jay as Tim Allen gets another stop, but not before the Bisons move the chains.
And grinding out these first downs. Good job on the edge. Love that by Braden Jay. Put that foot in the ground, get vertical. You know you're going to take a shot. Those physical yards at the end to pick up a first down.
First down and 10. Miller, that time the play got blown up. Mike Erickson got driven back into the backfield, and the Conference Defensive Lineman of the Year, Caleb Davis, says a big hello back home to Big Rapids.
There's that interior defensive line again, getting walked back. That time it was Javon Ruffin, number 91, blowing that play up single-handedly. And for this defensive line, again, Marquis Jones is just under 300 pounds. Davis is at 300. Ruffin's at 300. You don't see a ton of depth like that in size at the Division II level that Ferris State is able to roll out with that number of bodies. When you talk about slowing down Flexbone, it starts with those guys in the interior.
That is a tight-knit group when you look at the defensive line for Ferris State. Jay able to get to the corner. He has the knockout speed as he is shouldered out by Eric Jackson.
See some tapping of the helmets right now from these defenders for Ferris State. This is by far the longest drive of the game that Ferris State has had to stay on the field. See if this is the spot on the field that you get any sort of double move. Try and take advantage of number of plays that have been kept on the ground here in a row. DBs have their eyes in the backfield. You take a shot and get in behind this defense.
But again, Taylor, you look at this drive, Harding moving the football, but boy, a lot of time evaporating off the clock as they will continue to nickel and dime their way downfield. Miller with a first down run, but a drive that is approaching 5 minutes of game clock time.
And we said that at the beginning of this drive, that they needed to get into a little more up-tempo. But right now, I think staying true to form with who they are, picking up 4 or 5 yards a clip, keeping the chains moving. Go back to, they're going to have to figure out a way to do what they just did a minute ago, creating that takeaway. They've got to steal another possession or two if they've got a chance to come back in this game.
14th play of the drive right here for Keelan. And now a stoppage, and I believe Ferris State wants a timeout. We'll take a timeout with the Bulldogs. 42-21 late here from McKinney. Oh, in the volleyball world, Paul Simmons knows what it takes to win a title. Looking at an uphill climb, though, right now. Down 3 scores, has watched his offense methodically march the football down the field. 14th play of this drive coming up, but Taylor nearly 7.5 minutes off the game clock.
Have to figure out a way to pick up the tempo just a little bit here with time at a premium.
First down from the Ferris State 29-yard line. Keelan forced a pitch. Look at the aerial acrobatics from Jay, but it doesn't net much. Tim Allen stayed grounded, and all of a sudden it's a steady dose of number 21 for the Bulldogs.
Team defense again for Ferris State. Great job by Braden Jay to clear the defender payout. But you still see there that rallying to the football. Tim Allen able to clean that up, come away with the tackle.
Second down and 9. These two teams meeting for the 4th time in program history. Miller trying to use his speed to the outside, finishes the run as that became a leverage battle on the edge with Eric Jackson. That's a side I don't want to see coming at me with momentum. Big Andrew Miller.
There is no doubt he arrives with bad intentions. Now we get under 7 minutes left in this game. This is a long and complete drive so far. Only thing lacking, obviously, is a touchdown for Harding. It's been one of their best of the game. Needing a little bit of a sense of urgency here on offense.
3rd down and 4. The 18, the line to get. They have Barnett split wide right. Jay, the motion man. Keelan keeps it. Tried to sneak his way over the right side, and he won't get to where he needed to go. Isaiah Byers not fooled. And really, here comes the football game if you're Harding, 4th and short.
Ended up pulling the ball and following his fullback, Andrew Miller. And you're exactly right here, Sean. This is your game here if they're not able to pick this up.
Everybody coming to their feet inside McKinney ISD Stadium. 4th and a yard. They will give it to Miller, and he will fight ahead. And it looks like, judging by the spot, he should have enough. It wasn't easy. He cracked heads, moved the chains, 1st down.
He did that 18-yard line. Looks like he got just enough as they're moving the sticks to keep this drive alive and keep the season alive for Harding.
The candle stays lit as far as a miraculous comeback late for Harding. Meanwhile, the clock continues to move the wrong way if you're the Bisons back home in Searcy. Here is Jay as a convoy of blockers, and again, he goes airborne. Eric Jackson never shying away from contact, the junior from Largo, Florida, and there has been a substantial Florida pipeline all the way to Big Rapids throughout the years.
You got to give credit to Ferris State on this. Really a bend but don't break drive where you're almost content to allow this amount of time off the clock. Sure, we'll give you the 4 or 5 yard clips at a time, drive this thing down the field, but now approaching under 5 minutes of clock remaining. Even if it ends in a score, I think Ferris State would trade off the amount of time that's come off the clock on this drive.
2nd down. Miller hit, lost the football. Ferris State says they have it, and they do. The Bulldogs come away with the loose football. Jack Lamancusa with the recovery, and that might be the nail in the coffin tonight.
Another huge play for this Ferris State defense. 2nd turnover of the game, and on their way to another national championship. With Ole Miss and Tulane, and we'll see what happens with JMU and Oregon, but boy, I think teams like Vanderbilt and Notre Dame, even Texas, you could make an argument for maybe not thrilled with 2 Group of 5 teams in this year.
So Ferris State sends this offense back out onto the field after Harding goes 19 plays, 85 yards, 10.5 minutes off the clock, and it ends up in no points. The fumble Second takeaway for the Bulldog defense. Just when it looked like maybe Harding could get this down to 2 scores. Turnover snapped that line of thinking. You look at the job that Tony Annese has done at Ferris State, and it goes even back to his younger years as a high school coach. This is a head coach that has won 3 state titles. He won 2 national JUCO championships, and a little more than 3.5 minutes away from winning his 4th Division II championship.
And a guy that still feels the pressure. I mean, we sat in there in the meetings with him, and he's got his son Steve in there, his nephew Tony Annese, and talking through, part of why he loves spring ball so much is it's just his opportunity to be around these young men and coach them, and some of the pressure is off at that point because once you get into the season, you have all the stakes and the expectations that they have built here, and they've built at Ferris State with these championships. But he said he still loves more than anything else being able to be around young people and coach them and have an impact in their lives. And you see that in not only how they play, but how they conduct themselves off the field as well.
They go back to Price, and he will scoot his way toward the chains, knocked out of bounds by Cox, but he should have enough for the first down. And yeah, and he's enjoying everyday life with these student athletes, but he's also having success with his own family. You saw the shot of his son Steve, the co-offensive coordinator. His nephew Tony is the defensive coordinator, has another son, Anthony, who's on the coaching staff as well. So the Annese family tree. There's Tony, and what a job his defense has done the last couple of years.
And love the relationship between father-son, talking about who has play calling duties. They actually had a touchdown in last year's national championship where you had Steve send in one play and Tony send in the other. They ran both at the same time between protection and routes, and it still ended up in a touchdown.
Price with some room, twisting his way to the 34, 13 more yards.
And it really was enjoyed for all of these staffs that we get a chance to talk to, and especially these two in this national championship. Paul Simmons and his staff were great with us yesterday as well. They were great a week ago in the semifinal, and I think the character, and they're very different programs in some ways, but in others they're so similar because their kids care so much about the product on the field. They are good teammates. They care about one another, and it starts at the top between Tony Annese and Paul Simmons.
Ferris State and their fans have made the journey from lots of snow to sunshine and now nightfall here in McKinney. More football coming up next. We'll have the second FCS semifinal. 12th seeded Villanova host this year's Cinderella team, Illinois State, out of the Missouri Valley Football Conference. A trip to the championship game January 5th in Nashville on the line. That is coming up as soon as we wrap up here in McKinney. Finishing touches on this one for Ferris State, a program 2 minutes away from winning their 4th title in the last 5 years. A game in which they came out, set the tone early, jumped out to a quick 14-0 lead. We saw a wild start to the second half with each team coming up with explosive plays. And in the end, just too much offense for Ferris State as you see a flag fly, and gotta believe a late hit coming here, tag to Harding. Get our call from Richard Gray as he sorts it out. Ferris State entering today 29 straight wins. That's longest in program history.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 17. Offense, 15-yard penalty from the end of the play. The down counts. It's second down.
All right, so it's going to go against the Bulldogs. But Taylor, put it in perspective. When you see the consistency and really the benchmark of success, this is a dynasty now with their 4th title in the last 5 years. In this modern era of college football, even at the Division II level, which is getting impacted with the transfer portal, what's been the secret for this program in Big Rapids, Michigan?
The ability to reload with talent, and obviously they do a great job with their system and scheme, but we talked with the strategy about going to Florida and how they approach going after players that had Division I offers and don't end up signing with a Division I school, and having this blitz on places like Florida where you go after top talent, and they've brought them here to Ferris State. And I think in the modern landscape of college football, they've also, I don't know if gotten comfortable with, because Coach Anise told us, he was a wreck at the end of the season last year with the number of transfers that they had leave the program. But understanding that's, if you get to this part of the season and you're playing this well, it was a Trinidad Chambliss. If that happens and they end up leading a playoff team, that's credit to you and your staff for identifying that player. So I think the ability to reload and having this caliber of player, that's part of it, a huge reason why you're seeing them with an opportunity for national championships in 5 years.
Jake Price literally getting carried off the field by his teammate. Hopefully Price, the redshirt freshman, will be all right. Be sure to join us for the trophy celebration immediately following the conclusion of the game, exclusively on the ESPN app. And you can bet Ferris State anxious for that party to get started. What a day it's been for Wyatt Bauer. Really all three quarterbacks. Bauer has thrown for 177. He's accounted for 5 touchdowns, 3 rushing, 2 through the air. Chase Carter, the other quarterback, leads the team running the football with 111 yards. He has a touchdown. And then Golker has been Mr. All-Purpose today. 3 catches, 52 yards, a touchdown reception. He's completed both of his passes, and he has been effective as a rusher as well, as Harding will use their second timeout. Before the break, we were talking, Taylor, about the dynasty that Anise has built. He's also been able to capture the social media world with his staff, because I thought it was really a clever play. Oftentimes during this part of December, a lot of teams are reaching out to possible recruits, and really the approach that Ferris State takes is they send out all these social media messages saying, we'll get back to you, we're busy winning championships.
That's right. And loved the clip on, I'd rather play the Fighting Irish than have to play Harding. I loved that, and it was clearly a sign of respect for Harding and what Coach Simmons and the consistency that they have. But again, really enjoyed visiting with him this week.
Room to run after the timeout and pushed out of bounds, plus territory all the way to the 39-yard line. It's Kevin Sims. Yeah, and then conversely on the other side, the respect shown by Coach Simmons. He says, why don't all these coaches at Ferris State bump up to Division I?
Yeah, that's right. I think we got to see them interact with one another yesterday between our meetings that were back-to-back from one another. And you could tell the respect that they have for one another is clear. And tell the story again of Coach Anise saying, I need to talk to Paul Simmons, can you call your youngest son? I'd like to extend an offer to him right now. And they went out in the hallway. They were all on speaker. It was great, but clearly a ton of respect between those two and these two programs.
Victory formation for Ferris State, and that is a bath that never gets old, especially in the Lone Star State weather. Might not want it in Big Rapids tonight, but he will gladly take it here in McKinney, Texas.
Congratulations again to Coach Anise. 4 national championships in 5 years. Just an unbelievable run here for Ferris State.
We asked him, with all the adversity that they have faced this year with the transfers and the injuries at key positions, where does that rank? He went back to 2008 as Muskegon team that won a state title with just 2 returning starters. He went back to 22. He called that a miracle team. And now here in 2025, he will add it to the list. He says their motto is all about keeping the chip. He keeps the chip in his front pocket everywhere he goes. You act like we have not achieved a single thing in order to be in the fight again. Well, guess what? They're in the fight again. And as the final moments run off, Ferris State, your 2025 Division II national champs. Their 4th title in the last 5 years. They won their first championship in 21, followed it with another title in 22, beating Colorado School of Mines last year. They hammered Valdosta State, and now today on a beautiful Saturday in McKinney, a 3-touchdown championship win.
And so much change from a year ago. So many players that they lost into the transfer portal and reloaded in a big way. All the different pieces they had at quarterback didn't matter. Undefeated the entire way. They were top ranked going all the way back in the preseason poll in August. Undefeated national champions, 4th time in 5 years for the Ferris State Bulldogs.
Morgan is with some happy Bulldogs right now.
Wyatt, congratulations. All 3 quarterbacks played significant contributions today, but how are you able to deliver 5 touchdowns you accounted for when your number was called?
Yeah, we all played great today. As a group, we played very versatile. We all can play and do the same things. I got the shots that I took them, and it worked out pretty well.
You had no hesitation when Coach Anise offered you. You wanted to come and play at Ferris State. 4 national championships in 5 years. Wyatt, what is it that separates this program?
Yeah, it's just our love for each other. This team is so connected, and I love them so much. And we just play our hearts out every game, and they're nasty, so it just works out.
Let's bring in your head coach, Tony Anise, right here. Coach.
How the quarterbacks play tonight,
Oh my gosh, what do you have to say here about this guy and the way that he was able to play in his first title game?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So much composure. Him and Chase and Carson threw the pass down deep, and so unbelievable. People ask me all year, what are you doing on offense? Who are your quarterbacks? And all of them are, So Wyatt was super though, and very proud of him, and Chase also. There's 2 guys that were beat up, for the last 4 or 5 weeks and just grinded it out.
You come in preseason number one all year long, undefeated. How did this team handle the weight of that expectation?
I think Ferg, he's the guy that motivates us. So, no, in all honesty, it's an amazing achievement. Like, shocking to me. Like, our guys just never stop fighting, and this is part of it right here. I got a chip. All right, and it's keep your chip. Keep your chip. And our guys carry these around. We gave them out, the first or second day of camp. And it's hard, man. It's hard when people all say complacency sinking in, or, oh, we've achieved this in the past, but our guys never stop fighting.
Coach, congratulations, and enjoy this one with your team. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Sean?
Thank you very much, Morgan. 3 state titles, a couple of national junior college championships, and now he has added his 4th Division II title.
A dynasty, and that gets thrown around sometimes too much in sports, but this is the perfect example of it. 4 championships in 5 years, doing it at the highest level of Division II football, and it speaks to the culture that Tony Anise has established for Ferris State. Credit to him, credit to his staff, and to his players to get back here, do it this way against a really talented Harding team. This truly is a dynasty for Ferris State.
That's going to wrap things up here in Texas. Ferris State, your 2025 national champions. They win their 4th title in the last 5 years. 42-21, they take care of Harding today. Coming up next, number 12, Villanova, Illinois State for the right to play in the FCS Championship. For Taylor Maharg, Morgan Uber, our entire production crew, this is Sean Kinney saying so long from Texas.
All right, Sean, thanks.